What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, doing another episode of The Return of, and today we're talking about Pot of Greed, a card that, unless I'm mistaken, was on the initial ban list and has spent every single format Konami has ever created on that same ban list except for one, which means, in essence, this card has spent over a decade being banned. Ironically enough, Pot of Greed has spent more time on the ban list than Konami's core audience has spent living. I mean, just say that out loud, like that's utterly ridiculous. Now, I don't like the fact that Pot of Greed is probably the most mindless card to ever be created. I mean, even look at the text. It's 3 freaking words. Draw 2 cards. Like, there's no way to skillfully play Pot of Greed. There's no thought process. There's no way to misplay it. You just activate the motherfucker and resolve it. Like, there isn't any medium in between you activating the card and like your opponent thinking like, how's he gonna do this? Is he trying to? No, there's no thought process. It's also probably the most splashable card ever created in Yu-Gi-Oh! Some would argue, and I would be in this category, to say that Pot of Greed is the only true staple ever created in Yu-Gi-Oh! However, there are some drawbacks. Not really drawbacks, but there are some things that outweigh this card meriting still being banned. For instance, Pot of Greed, contrary to popular belief, is not the best generic card ever as far as draw support goes. Hell, it's not even in the top 2. Graceful Charity and 6 Cents are miles above what Pot of Greed could ever hope to accomplish as far as its broken factor. I mean, even when you look at the vast explosion of speed that we've seen ever since the release of Duelist Genesis and the Synchro era, I mean, you could actually make a very compelling argument that Pot of Avarice, just in terms of pure power, is equivalent to Pot of Greed, because not only does it let you draw the same 2 cards, but its ability to help you recycle your resources that you've exhausted earlier in the game and reuse them, I would definitely say puts it on the same category. I mean, if nothing else, it at least neutralizes the fact that Pot of Greed can be used in such a variety of decks. So, you know, when I look at Pot of Greed, I think, yes, it's simple. An idiot can use it effectively, but how much of an impact is it really going to have? I mean, some people are going to say, no, you make Exodia and Chainburn and all this more consistent. The sad truth about Pot of Greed is, chances are, if your opponent wins just because of that one Pot of Greed, they were probably going to win the game anyway. I still look at Pot of Greed as a card where right now the game is so utterly fast, I don't really think that it would make a huge difference. I mean, I'm not just saying we unban Pot of Greed outright. Let's just say we ban Pot of Avarice and swapped it for Pot of Greed. Would you have every deck running Pot of Greed for a format? Absolutely. In fact, I couldn't think of a reason to ever not run Pot of Greed. But I don't think that this is one of those cards where it has that huge benefactor that people think. The first player who draws Pot of Greed is not going to win the game. The player who draws Pot of Greed in the duel might not win the game either. You know, just don't get too focused on the aspect of it lets you go +1. I mean, when you look at a card like Genix Undyne, I mean, that motherfucker lets you go +2 and it's at 3. So advantage isn't everything. There's also factors such as tempo control and everything else that you have to weigh in. Pot of Greed is a fantastic card. It definitely is overpowered. I just don't think that it has the same effect that people think. It has the effect of everybody's going to play it, and it's going to basically be a staple. It doesn't have the effect of determining games. It's not like Solemn Judgment was when Solemn was at 3, where whoever drew the most Solemns, whoever drew Solemns first basically won. It's not a card when you resolve it, you're probably just going to win. It's not Dimension Fusion, you know what I mean? It's not one of those cards where, wow. It's not a card where you think, oh man, he has Pot of Greed, I can't come back. It's not Logia set 4. It's not Shien set 3. So, I mean, I look at the card and it's powerful. It's definitely a card that's going to be played in every deck, but it's not nearly as devastating as 10 other cards I could think of that are all legal right now. Monster Reborn, Blackluster, Soldier, you know, Heavy Storm, so on and so forth. So let me know what you guys think about this. I think that Pot of Greed should be one of the candidates to come off the ban list within the next year. I think that the slower the format, the better, honestly. But yeah, I just feel like it's time. The card's been banned for over a decade, guys. Get over it. Talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching as always.